So what if I told you right now, as you're watching this, your body is making choices that could steal decades from your life? Every single breath you take is delivering just 21% oxygen to your cells. But what happens when you flood them with 100% pure oxygen under pressure? Well, after 8 weeks in the hyperbaric chamber, my 55-year-old body just proved something that will make you question everything you thought you knew about aging and healing. Hi, I'm Dr. Cheryl Russell, and I'm proof that midlife can be your launch pad, not your finish line. I hold a PhD in developing people and organizations, and I've spent my career leading statewide consulting teams, mentoring thousands of business owners, and evaluating programs at the national level. But at 49 years old, my own life flipped upside down. I lost my husband of 31 years, became an empty nester, and later left my C-suite job all during COVID. I had to reinvent myself from the ground up, and now I am here to help women just like you find clarity, confidence, and joy in your own next chapter. That's exactly why I'm documenting every single detail of this hyperbaric journey. Because if there's a way to optimize our bodies and minds for the second half of my life, I'm going to find it, and I want to share it with you. Now, before we dive into the science that's literally changing my cellular structure, I need you to make me a promise. The information I'm about to share in the next 10 minutes will challenge 3 major myths about aging that the medical establishment doesn't want you to know. Here's the thing, this only works if you watch until the very end, because the most important discovery happens in minute 8, and it has nothing to do with oxygen. So here's what I need. If this information could help someone you care about, hit the like button right now. Not later, now. Because engagement tells YouTube this content matters, and honestly, this information could save someone's life. Deal? All right, for those just joining us, here's the rapid fire recap. I'm documenting my complete hyperbaric oxygen therapy experience because when you hit midlife, you start asking different questions. Not how do I look younger, but how do I feel more powerful? The protocol is 90-minute sessions, 5 times a week at a pressure of 2 atmospheres. That's like being 30 feet underwater, but instead of water crushing you, it's pure oxygen healing you. And don't forget, my husband and I actually bought a chamber. It's literally inside of our home. We seriously are hoping that this process improves our health. We took tests before, and we will take them after our 60 sessions. We tested our inflammatory markers, our telomere links. We're monitoring cognitive function, sleep quality, full transparency, every number, every result. Week 1 and 4 were rough. Week 5 and 6 were a game changer, but week 7 and 8, that's when my body started doing things that made me question everything I knew about the human potential. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening inside your body right now. Your tissue oxygen pressure, a fancy term for how much oxygen your cells actually get, sits around 100 to 200 millimeters of mercury, which for us non-medical people out there is a unit of pressure. That's completely normal. That's what we accept. But in the hyperbaric chamber at 2 atmospheres, my tissue oxygen pressure shot above 2,000 millimeters of mercury. That's not just more oxygen, that's a complete cellular environmental change. It's like your cells went from living in Denver to living in sea level, but instead of thin air, they're swimming in pure pressurized life force. You know that 3 p.m. energy crash that makes you reach for your 3rd cup of coffee? Well, that has gone. Not completely, but for the most part gone. My cells are so oxygen saturated that I'm operating like I have a personal energy generator. But here's where it gets wild, and this is the part that makes me understand why professional athletes literally pay $500 per session for this therapy. That pressurized oxygen creates what scientists call controlled oxidative stress. Think of it like sending your cells to the gym. The stress triggers a cascade. Growth factor explosions, your body starts producing healing compounds like it's preparing for battle. There are cellular cleanup crews in your body suddenly working like they're on perform enhancing drugs. There's stem cell mobilization. Your bone marrow starts releasing fresh, young cells into your bloodstream. Angiogenesis, that's when new blood vessels are forming, creating superhighways for nutrients. My personal experience, I've been tracking my recovery time from workouts, pre-HBOT, a couple days maybe or a day to feel normal after rough sessions. Now I wake up the next day feeling like I barely worked out. My 55-year-old body is recovering like it was 10 years ago. Now, if you're thinking this is just about physical healing, you're missing the plot twist. The neuroplasticity benefits, that's your brain's ability to rewire itself, are where this gets really interesting. Single sessions have been shown to reduce pain sensitivity and inflammation markers in the brain. We're talking about literally changing the brain's pain process system. Personal truth, my husband has been dealing with chronic neck pain since a surgery several years ago. It's been his constant companion for nearly 3 years. Week 7 and 8, consistently more good days than bad days. Not managed it, not reduced it, almost forgot it exists. This isn't a placebo effect when you've lived with something for the last 3 years. We are seeing lasting results. According to the 2024 scientific report study on long-term outcomes of HBOT in post-COVID conditions, the research shows what nobody talks about, that these benefits aren't just temporarily feel-good moments. For conditions like chronic wounds, long COVID, traumatic brain injuries, therapeutic benefits can last months or even years after treatment ends. That's amazing. One study followed long COVID patients for a full year after HBOT treatment. Persistent improvements in quality of life, sleep, cognitive function, and psychiatric symptoms. A year later, they were still better. I'm only at week 8 of a 12-week protocol, and I'm already experiencing changes that feel permanent. My sleep quality has completely transformed. I'm falling asleep faster, sleeping deeper, and feeling like my body actually recharged overnight instead of just putting in time. If this video inspired you, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell so you don't miss what's next. Every week, I share tools and stories to help you reinvent life with clarity, confidence, and joy. Subscribe now and let's start your next chapter together. Week 7 was when everything clicked. You know how people talk about runner's high? I discovered there's something called chamber zen. About 45 minutes into each session, my brain would shift into an incredibly clear, focused state. I started bringing a notebook into the chamber, and yes, you can do that. And I was solving business problems that had been stuck for months. It was like having access to a part of my brain that had been locked away. It was like having access to your wisest, most confident self on demand. Week 8 is when I realized this isn't just therapy, it's optimization. My skin texture changed. Not just looking better, the actual cellular turnover accelerated. I have a small scar on my neck from surgery years ago, and it's barely been going away, and I really have noticed a difference. Energy levels, I'm waking up at 5:30 a.m. naturally, no alarm, feeling more rested than I usually do after 9 hours of sleep. My evening energy is consistent until about 8, then I naturally wind down. It's like my rhythm just got a complete reset. I'm remembering names and faces and details that would have slipped me before. Not just better memory, clearer thinking, faster processing, more creative solutions to problems. Now, before you start Googling hyperbaric chambers near me, let's talk real about safety, because I'm not just your cheerleader, I'm your truth teller. Number 1, be careful where you go. When we started this journey, we went to a local clinic just to make sure we could handle the pressure before we actually spent the money and actually bought one. Looking back, I was very disappointed on the safety concerns they did not provide. We really didn't discuss our medical issues. They let us both bring phones and laptops inside the chamber, which we knew is a risk, but thought, well, they said we could do it. I know we signed forms of liability, but I would have rather have had some professional protocol and speaking to a medical professional before throwing ourselves into the deep end, so to speak. After 10 sessions above 2 atmospheres, risks do increase. There's basically ear damage from pressure changes, vision shifts that are usually temporary but can last weeks. In rare cases, oxygen toxicity can cause anything from lung irritation to seizures. My experience, mild air pressure that resolves within 30 minutes post-session, slightly vision changes during treatment that completely normalize by the end of the day. No serious side effects, but bottom line, this isn't something you DIY in your garage. Professional supervision, proper equipment, medical oversight are non-negotiable. But when done right, life-changing results. So my quality of sleep has improved. I feel a difference between feeling tired and feeling unstoppable. Truly, my processing speed has increased and reaction time. I didn't officially measure it, but I have noticed it during my day-to-day. In fact, Adrian and I were having a conversation yesterday, and I remembered the Biltmore and the Vanderbilts before he did. So I was very proud of myself, and no, I'm not competitive. Physical performance, I can tell by workouts. I do feel my endurance getting stronger. This is a measure I wish we were able to capture at the beginning and do again at the end, but I didn't realize. Research says cardiovascular system is literally younger than when we started because of an increase in oxygen. The intangibles, confidence, mental clarity, emotional resilience, unmeasurable but undeniable. I felt like I'm operating from a place of strength I'd forgotten existed, truly. Here's what I promised to tell you in minute 8, the discovery that has nothing to do with oxygen but everything to do with transformation. This entire process taught me that we've been thinking about aging all wrong. We treat 49, 59, and 69 like these countdown numbers to decline, but what there actually are upgraded opportunities. Every session in that chamber wasn't just flooding my cells with oxygen, it was proving that my body is still capable of dramatic positive change, that my brain can still form new neural pathways, that my energy, my healing, my potential, none of it has to do with decline just because I've had more birthdays. The real discovery, the most powerful medicine, isn't the oxygen. It's the belief that you're worth optimizing, that your second chapter doesn't have to be about managing decline. It can be about unlocking potential you didn't even know you had. So here's what I need from you. If you're considering HBOT, start with research. Find qualified practitioners. Get medical clearance. This isn't a magic bullet. It's a tool that requires proper application. If you're following my journey, pay attention to the small shifts. Energy, mood, sleep, mental clarity. Document your own optimization experiments, whatever they might be. If you found value in this, share it with somebody who needs to hear that midlife can be a beginning, not an ending. Hit the subscribe button because week 9 and 10 are going to reveal whether these changes stick. And honestly, I think we're just getting started. Drop questions below. Specifically, what optimization experience are you running on your own life? I read every comment and your questions to shape future videos. Next week is week 9 and 10. Until then, remember, you're not too old to be optimized. You're not too late to be transformed. And you're definitely not too experienced to be surprised by what your body and your mind can still become. Thanks for spending this time with me. And if you ever felt lost after a major life change and you don't know how to move forward, I created something called the Midlife Reinvention Quiz and Blueprint. Find clarity and confidence and your next chapter. In this step-by-step guide, I wish I had when I felt completely lost. I walk you through exercises to uncover your hidden strengths, test drive new directions, and rebuild an identity that feels aligned. If you're ready to stop drifting and start designing the next chapter of your life with clarity and confidence, check it out. The link is in the description below. I'll see you next week. Remember to stay curious, stay bold, and keep proving that your best chapters are still being written.